Welcome back to Kinda Hot and Kinda Healthy with your two favorite women's health coaches.
We are talking life, relationships, and everything else besides teaching you how to count your macros. Now let's dive in.
Welcome back, guys. Allie, what's up?
We just, everything is getting better over here in the podcast world. We just literally spent 20 minutes trying to figure out something super simple, but like viewing purpose wise, it was kind of important to us. So hopefully you guys appreciate it. And when this episode comes out, I am going to make a point to be like, go to YouTube, watch the video, please, because
please.
We spent 20 minutes on it. So you're going to watch it. And actually, since we put the first episode out, we got some views on YouTube, which is like awesome.
I know. There's 13. Well, if you don't count myself and Allie and my mom and my dad, probably.
No, they count. They are people.
13 total subscribers. So that's super cool. And if you didn't notice, please tell me in the comments anywhere, TikTok, Instagram, wherever, does the audio sound better? I'm a butthead and realized that I literally didn't even have my Zoom connected to my microphone. So this whole time I'm like, this microphone freaking sucks. In reality, it was I who sucks.
It was I who sucks. But that was kind of life-changing. And we had 19 views on the video, which again, like for like just putting out one video, and it's long form content, so you never know how people are going to react. But I was like, slay, go us. And that was like super exciting because it's scary but exciting to like put something out that you've worked so long on, and you're like, does anybody even want this? And it's like, yeah, fuck yeah, they want it, fuck yeah. But that little voice is like, do they care? And it's just been really exciting. So today's episodes, like recording wise, are the vibes, because Maddie was like, oh, what are we even talking about? And then I like looked through the doc that we have, and I was like, oh, we are talking about something juicy. And I actually have like a personal relationship to this, like a peripheral relationship to this story. So before we dive in, do you want to like do a little week recap, like anything fun or exciting you want to share? Oh my God.
What was that?
That's mortifying. I think I hiccuped and tried to swallow it. Anyways, getting back to you. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm in like a silly, goofy mood, and my brain just decided to hiccup, and I tried to talk through it. That's mortifying. Anyway, yeah, Maddie, how was your week? How's your weekend? Take the attention off of me.
I painted my office. I'm not going to move. Well, I'll move my computer a little bit. I have a dark wall now. I have to do another coat on it, but then I will fill my office. So that's almost done. I got my TSA pre-check all done today.
Boosh.
I had a funny thing happen to me while I was there. You had to like, do your fingerprint, do a picture, like all this stuff. And all of a sudden I like had like, you kind of had a choke. Like I had to choke a little bit, and I was like coughing a lot. I'm like, I don't want this lady to think I'm like sick, Yeah. And it gave me like a flashback to when you're like in elementary school and like in the middle of class and you have to cough and you're like holding in the cough, and then you're like dying because you're like trying to choke. And that was me. She's like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And then I had to take a picture, and she's like, oh, your eyes are watering.
I feel like I look my absolute best right now. I have watery eyes.
I know. She goes, don't worry, we don't use this for like anything. And I'm like, okay.
Perfect. Because, I was going to ask if you could like give me like the file so I could like put it all over Instagram, because I look fucking cute.
Literally. Well, my passport photo, maybe one day I'll post it. I look like I just robbed a bank. Like I look like a mass murderer. Joel makes fun of me every time I have to take it out. It's so bad. So that picture probably couldn't have been worse than that one.
Okay, so there's the bright side. I mean, I need to get my passport. It's about to expire, so I need to like redo that. Like my license picture is trash. Passport picture is trash. And I see like on TikTok, like people do like passport makeup or license makeup.
Oh my God, I know.
And I'm like, part of me is like, cool, but like who the fuck cares? Like when people are like pressed, they're like, oh, my picture's so ugly, don't look at it. It's like, whatever. Like it's literally your license picture. Like, okay, like if anything, it's just a flex because you look better in real life. It's just
At
like, I
least we
look so
hope.
fucking good. Well, I'm going to say it. I'm sure you don't, I don't think you look like a mass murderer. All right. I
No,
said it. All
I
right,
look a little
guys.
rough. But it's just a funny story nonetheless, because Joel
No,
also
I
looks
love
kind of
it.
weird.
Passport pictures are awkward and you're like, and you're like, like, it's just like, it's weird. So if you have a good passport picture, I don't trust you. Okay. I don't trust you.
You put too much effort in.
Yeah. Or you're like an alien spy type thing because nobody looks good in their passport picture.
Agreed. What did
I
you do this
said it.
weekend?
All right. Little country girl things. We went to the fair that we have like at the end of the summer, and it is like so nothing like I've ever done before moving to Vermont. And like there's
Mhm.
pig races, there's all of this like livestock. You can watch like cows being milked, which I'm like, that's fucking gross. So we walk past that. Um, and we ate like just like all this like weird like food, and like everything kind of like tastes the same because it's all like just like fried shit.
Mhm.
But it's like an experience. And then we watched the like motocross biking, and I think we're gonna go to like a demolition derby later this week. And I
Oh.
just get like I get hyped for it. Like
Mhm.
I'm like I was sitting there watching these things, like watching the motocross, and I was like, oh my God. And I'm like, oh, like I could do that. No, I couldn't. I could do that. No, I couldn't. And so I have a feeling my like new personality is going to be like a demolition derby driver and like thinking like I could do these like cool things when I like definitely couldn't, but
Mhm.
it's fun to dream. So that was our weekend, and we have some exciting things which I may or may not tell you. I may reveal to you on the podcast, and get your like reaction, but we did other
Mm.
stuff. So stay tuned. Check out our socials. But it was like we have our last wedding of like the season for like this whole summer on Sunday. So after that,
Oh.
I'm like ready for spooky season. I'm
Mhm.
ready to just, and by the time you guys are listening to this, I think it's coming out like August 6th, or no, October 6th rather. We're gonna do
Mhm.
a Halloween episode too because we love Halloween.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm excited for that. I wanted to ask, so if you're in Vermont doing like what are they considered? Like they're not Southern people. You're up north more, right?
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, like we're I don't want to say like where I am, but we're closer to the Canadian border. So we're like super, I don't know. I guess like I like I just think it's like country things because it's a lot of like rural area.
Mm.
Yeah. So I know I always like talk like I'm like hick things or country things, but I don't know like what you would actually mountain things, but it's not, I don't know, maybe that's what it is. But when I think of mountain people, I get a little scared. I don't know what that means, but I'm a little it doesn't
I have
sound good.
seen mountain people. They are quite interesting. They're Joel's friend. They his wife's family built like in West Virginia, like from the ground up, this huge log cabin.
Oh wow.
And the way to get there, you pass literally mountain people, and they live, it looks like a tin can, and they have like a really old car like in the front yard, and then just sitting like on the driveway and on the car, like just laying on the ground. Like they're just like, I don't know, like they're literally mountain people. Like
Vibes.
it is the most like every time we pass, we're all just like looking at the, it's just so weird.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how that happens. Godspeed.
There are some areas like in Vermont, like driving through, it's like all of a sudden you lose service and you're like, God, where the fuck am I? I'm like, please don't let my car break down here because I don't know if I'm like gonna make it out alive.
Oh
It's
God.
just fucking weird. But anyways, so today's topic is really good. And we wanted to talk about The Biggest Loser, the TV show, and just kind of like the phenomenon behind it.
Mhm.
Um,
Is this
because
kind of like shit we saw on TikTok? Are we doing that right now?
I think it's shit we saw on TikTok and it's like taking over the episode, but it
Hmm.
is shit we saw on TikTok because how many times, growing up, I would see Biggest Loser on TV. And
Hmm.
I would think it's kind of crazy, but again, it was the early 2000s. We talk about this a lot. The early 2000s were a weird time, especially when it came to like dieting and health and fat loss, etc.
Hmm.
So, did you ever watch it, or do you have thoughts like behind it, watching it as a younger version of yourself?
Yes, I think I did watch it probably like with my sister, but it like wasn't like we all sat down and watched it. I
Right.
think it was just like something that was like kind of like when you fall asleep and wake up at like 2 a.m. and George Lopez is playing, like one of those things.
Stop.
And you hear like the bouncing and
You
like
said
the
literally, it's like, this is what my paralysis demon looks like. And it's like, who? Like jumping up. I think he like tweeted about that one time. I'm like, that is iconic. That is iconic.
Yes. Um, yes. So anyway, I don't think I ever like sought after it like to watch,
Yeah.
So I remember watching it, but it's Jillian Michaels, right? Was that the one?
Yeah, she was one of the trainers. I think the host was like Ali Sweeney, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, she was on like soap opera shows. And then
Oh,
Jillian
okay.
Michaels was one of the trainers. And then there was a guy and I think another girl, and they did rotate them out. Like, again, I watched it when it was on. Like, if I'm like doing my homework and the TV was just on, whatever, like if the news was on and then
Right.
it came on, it was never like a cult following.
Yes,
But
same,
from what
same.
I watched, it's deep in the brain.
Yeah, like I think even back then, I felt like this is a little extreme. Like I felt like it was extreme. And like granted, as a child, I knew nothing about health. Literally nothing. Like my parents didn't teach me anything. They just, if anything, they taught us like finish everything, like you can't have dessert until you finish every little thing. That was like my extent of any kind
Yeah.
of, education around food. So I think deep down, I'm like, this looks a little bit extreme. But then I also came from a gymnastics background to where we trained extremely. So I'm like, it's kind of familiar. But I don't think I personally knew something was like totally, totally wrong. But like, I just felt like this is a bit odd for like what they're doing to these people.
Right. Yeah, I can relate to the feeling of this is odd, this is a lot, but
Mhm.
it was also there was an entertainment aspect of it
Mhm.
where
Mhm.
that's where how I would find myself getting sucked into it. Because I remember I was at the gym one time doing cardio and I like plugged my headphones in. I was like looking for something to watch before like you like could stream Netflix on your phone and watch something at the gym when you're doing cardio. And it was on. So I was like, all right, I'll watch it. And it was always just a lot. But the competition aspect, I was like, okay, I can see why people watch this because
Mhm.
you're kind of on the edge of your seat and you're rooting for people. But I was always like turning my like head at like, what is happening? Like
Mhm.
this shit is insane. And the amount of pressure, it was always aware in my brain that I'm like, this is fucked up. But I don't think I understood or was aware of like
Mhm.
what was happening or, like
Yeah.
the gravity of the situations.
Yeah, and the TikTok that I found two of them. One of them was about a previous member who had lost 155 pounds,
Yeah.
something like that. And then a episode, and just to refresh, I think Allie will play
I'm
it,
gonna
but
insert it like right
okay. But
here.
it's right here.
Here.
Um, but it's Julia Michaels screaming like just like the worst things at people. Like she only cares if your butt gets smaller.
Yes.
She only cares about you losing weight. And there was some comments on there too, like someone lost 10 pounds, 10 pounds in 1 week. Granted, the amount that you can lose per week definitely depends on how much you have to lose. But at
Right.
some point, it is not healthy to lose that amount of weight in 1 week. You're doing something extreme to accomplish that.
Right.
So,
Right.
and I think the comments said that they were like not impressed and not happy that they lost 10 freaking pounds.
The
Like,
person was not happy with themselves.
no, the coach, whoever the trainer
Oh,
was, was
yep,
like,
yep.
that's not enough. Just constantly like these poor people were like literally in the video, like people are throwing up, like people were like dry heaving, like crying, and they're just screaming in their face. And it's just like kind of like every other, like this is why health and fitness should not be on a freaking game show because it makes
Right.
good TV. Just like The Bachelor, which I'm so close to watching right now because I've been listening to Nick Viall's podcast.
I
I know.
like Nick Viall.
I know.
I was
It's just
okay. Bachelor is some seasons are good. Like if there's a lot of talk about it, I like
mhm.
to watch it. But it's the same fucking thing. I don't get how people have watched it for like 20 seasons.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, what are your thoughts on the Golden Bachelor?
that's the old guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Haven't watched any of it, but
I think it could be good.
I could see myself watching it once people start talking about it and I see it on
Yeah.
TikTok. And I'm like, if I see a juicy clip, that will get me to watch it. I do think it's interesting how they are doing an older man. I think he's like 70 something. Like that's we need to shake it up. We need
Yeah.
something different to keep the viewers. So I like it, but I'm also interested. Like, are we gonna have to like see them like bone or kiss?
Probably not. But I would say
I
kiss probably, but hopefully
yeah,
not nothing
even
else.
that I don't really want to see. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
But anyway, what was I saying? It makes
Talking
good,
about the good TV.
yeah, it makes good TV and it's the game show. And like you said, it's
Yep.
enticing, it's entertaining. But that definitely should not be in the capacity for people to lose weight because I mean, I can't tell you the number of freaking weight loss challenges I did in previous gyms,
Yeah.
thinking this is a good idea. And you're just so like enthralled in the challenge and you want to win. And I can't imagine the pressure of being on TV in front of the freaking world. Of course, like the one girl, Kate, I think was her name, she lost the 155 pounds. Like she said it was, she just got like so into it. She got wrapped up and was like,
Yeah.
I think I was too small at 105. Like I've been like 105 pounds. It does not look good on me at 5'5".
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
So I could imagine I would probably fall into something similar like that if I were to do something like that.
And the body dysmorphia. I mean, when you go
Uh,
from being, overweight, obese, of a certain size to then losing over 100 pounds, like that's not something that they talk about, like the psychological aspect of it.
mhm.
Um, and the amount of damage that you might be doing to your health once the show ends. It's like,
Yeah.
oh shit, like they don't actually care about me. These coaches didn't care about me. This is their job for TV. And
Yeah.
it's crazy because in that clip that I'm going to insert already, Jillian Michaels was like screaming, like, if you something about, like, and I'm not saying it correct, but it was like, don't stop. Like every time you want to stop, think about like your dad dying on the treadmill or having a heart attack on the treadmill. And I'm like, that
That
is
was much, a little bit much.
messed up to be in somebody's face when clearly they are exhausted, probably mentally, physically, emotionally. They are spent. They're not eating a lot. They
Hmm.
are, in a sense, punished if they don't lose enough weight. It's like, fuck, our team didn't win. Now we got to work harder. To then
Hmm.
say that, it's absolutely crazy. And I think people also watched for the craziness of Jillian Michaels because I remember, I don't know the guy coach's name, but I always remember him, and I could be misremembering him being nicer. And people were almost like, oh, I want to be on Jillian's team because like she'll really make me, look the best and I'm going to work so hard. And that's crazy. Like, I remember my mom used to do like Jillian Michaels like workout videotapes. And so like we would do them like before like prom or before different things. And in the video, she was also like berating you. I don't care if you want to stop, you want to look good in your bikini, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, me and my sister are like,
Uh,
I fucking hate this bitch. But I guess we'll do these workouts. It's just like my every like memory I have around her is just like, you are
extreme, extreme.
insane. Yeah, it's so crazy. And I always see clips on TikTok of just like the challenges that they do. And I'm also like, as a coach who, I work with people that are overweight, I'm not going to tell them to do certain exercises that could hurt them. Like they'll be doing certain
Oh,
exercises where I'm like, they could legitimately hurt themselves. Like this is not good.
yeah. It's just like there's so many levels to this. Like that makes the show annoying. Like one, you have a level of maybe other people who feel like they're out of shape or have a lot of weight to lose see this and they're thinking like this is the only way that I can
Yeah.
lose weight. Like
Yeah.
I can't go through that, and then they just give up, right? And then they think
Totally.
if I go to the gym, that's how they're going to talk to me. and then they give up. Like the amount of women that have
Totally.
told me that they've had trainers at gyms like call them fat and say really mean things. Yeah, say mean things to them, and so they're like, "What's the point? I'm just gonna go home. Like I'm not coming back. Why try?"
Right.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
I wouldn't go back either.
exactly. So it's like the show like just like pushes such an ideal or an image of a gym that like quite honestly doesn't isn't really, for everybody. That's not actually how gyms are if they're a good gym, right? I've
Yeah.
never talked to someone like that, like
Well,
says don't stop, even if they're about to throw up. Like I never want to get someone to that point. The only time I've ever seen that is when I coach CrossFit, and that's a whole nother thing because that they live for
right.
that shit. But
Yeah.
but
It's crazy.
yeah, and it's just like annoying because people think maybe they think that's what their perception is. Like sometimes I think we think being coaches in this world that everyone knows what it looks like to be a good coach or to go to a gym that's safe, things like that. But in reality, like people don't know a lot of these things. And maybe the person listening, you don't know either, but no one should be calling you fat and screaming at you in your face. Allie, I highly doubt Allie has. I've never screamed at someone in the face and told them to keep going, even though they were like they're about to pass out.
Yeah, it's so fucked up because there's also probably a ton of people that have the right intentions that want to be trainers, but
Mm.
they might emulate these really intense trainers and they're like, this is the way to
Oh,
be a good coach. And it's like,
yeah,
no, it's not. Like,
yep,
no, it's not. And people that are like, no, I need tough love. I need to be berated. No, you need to go
yep.
to therapy. No, because there are that like red flag, there are some like underlying issues. If the only way that you're going to like reach your goal is for somebody to call you like fat and disgusting and like keep going, I don't care if you're gonna vomit, that's
Hmm.
insane. Like
Hmm.
straight up insane. And if you're working with somebody that is pushing you to the point of vomiting when you're just like an everyday person, like you just want to lose weight, you want to be healthier, you do not need to be exercising like that.
No
You shouldn't, because that is really creating such an unhealthy relationship
image.
with, yeah, with exercise, with yourself. That's doing a lot of internal damage, doing a lot of mental damage. Like we don't need to do that. And that's why watching the show and watching that clip, it just brought me back to um this person that I know through like a couple of people. They were on the show and they lost a lot of weight, and it was kind of like known around town. It was, oh, this is amazing, blah blah blah. This person was overweight for a long time, and they did lose a lot of weight, but then they gained it all back. And like as a professional in this field, not surprised at all, because you're doing really extreme diets, a lot of exercising, a lot of crazy shit. But the people that go on that show, they probably do not expect that to happen. So like I also
Hmm.
like always kind of in a way felt bad for this person, because like you're on TV, it probably feels humiliating. Like if somebody
Hmm.
was taping me working out and like vomiting, I would be mortified. Like that is so
Yeah.
intense. Like we talked about reality TV, and this is reality TV in a different way. Like it is you in your rawest form, and you're
Yeah.
putting everything out there, and to like then reach a goal, maybe you feel great about it, and then like I don't know what the like aftercare of that show is. Like do they set you up with like a plan or something like that? Probably not. And
I highly doubt it.
yeah, like probably not, because they probably don't give a fuck about you. So like what are you left to do? Just like watch recordings of like Jillian telling you to like fucking like I don't care if you need to throw up, and you're like, yeah, like no, that's
Yeah.
insane. Ugh,
Yeah.
it's so crazy to, and like it's not still on, is it?
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
We've done our research here. We've done
We have
our research.
thorough research. But even like another thing, we've talked about this like a million times, probably like snippets here and there, but of course, like on our socials separately.
Yeah.
But they put so much freaking weight, for lack of better words, on weight loss. Like the whole
Oh, like
point is to have
emphasis.
emphasis on it. Like
Okay.
they step them on to the scale in the beginning and then are weighing them every single week. I mean, how many times have you yourself done your own weight loss phase, diet phase, and then done clients' diet phases? In the first couple of weeks, it's like little tiny inches, might even be a spike, and then you're getting discouraged and you're like, just keep going. The measurements are working. Your pictures look good. You feel good in your body. Your strength is going up and you're like, keep with it, keep with it. And then next thing you know, you blink your eyes and it's 10 weeks down the road and you've lost a good amount of weight. But the first couple of weeks, it was like nothing, right?
Yeah.
How many times
Yeah.
does that happen to me, to you, to our clients? It
Yeah.
happens all the time. And then you go on the show and they're like, getting so mad and basically giving them like, rewarding the group that only loses and giving the group that fails like something they have to do because only based on weight. And there's so much more to your journey than just what it says on the scale that can change for so many reasons.
Totally. And that's such a really good point to bring up because people that listening to this, watching this, you may get stuck in this yourself. Let's say you are a person that weighs in Monday morning. You're weighing in once a week and it's Monday morning. You step on the scale and every week you're like, why is this not moving? It is saying the same number. It is going up. What is happening? Well, we have to think about what are we doing usually Friday, Saturday, Sunday? We're having probably a little bit more fun, maybe some drinks. We're going out. Our schedule looks a little bit different. So when we're just weighing ourselves on one day a week, we're not getting a lot of information. We're taking like a snapshot of 7 days. So for that to be on the Biggest Loser, for them to do one weigh in a week, one, it doesn't give an accurate depiction because we could fluctuate, especially if you have a period, you might be fluctuating all the time. If you're eating different foods, you're not drinking enough water, you need to poop, whatever.
Stressed out,
which if you are on a competition show to lose weight, I guess you're probably going to be pretty stressed out.
Yeah.
So it's crazy that the emphasis is only on the scale and they would be like, oh, you've only lost. It would be so serious. You only lost 3 pounds in a week.
That's huge. That's so good.
Lose weight. Oh, you maintained it. That's huge. Oh, you gained a little bit. Well, let's think logically. If you're eating in a deficit or you're eating the same amount of food, you're working out, you're hitting your steps and you gained 2 pounds in a week, let's think. You didn't actually gain the fat. This is a PSA. You didn't gain weight. But let's think about what's happening in your life. And like, obviously for a TV show, that's not really entertaining. That's not fun. Like, no one's going to like, let's break down the science. People are going to be like, snooze.
Right.
So, we understand it for like the dramatic effect, but like thinking about that, I wonder what these people, these contestants, where the fuck are they now? What is their thought process behind their experience? Because I know the person that, again, I know like peripherally, they did gain the weight back, but like
like all of it,
like pretty much. Like I saw pictures like several years ago, and it was, I mean, I don't know I didn't really watch the show, but it was like kind of through the grapevine. But like, what is their relationship with the scale, with dieting, with their health? Like, it's fucked, right? Like,
yeah.
At that point, I wouldn't even want to like attempt giving a shit about my health because I would be probably fucking traumatic. Like they probably have PTSD from like thinking about this experience and their own journey. Like, Jesus.
I'd have to say, without knowing the numbers, I'm pretty sure I saw it's like 50 and up percent, like gain the weight back. So if I'm guessing, I would say it's that. But I'd have to say the show probably negatively affected more people than it actually helped out. I mean,
totally.
I can't imagine someone's walking away from that like, I had the best relationship with food ever in my body. I love this. No one's saying that.
No, and you know what? They're probably, I mean, I don't know like who reads magazines a lot anymore, but like growing up, I remember you'd see like the winners on the magazine or like a health magazine and smiling and they have like a tight little outfit on and they look great and they're like so happy. And it's like, of course, you capture that moment right after the show ends and they've lost the weight and you're like, this is good. This is good. Let's follow up with them 3 months after that.
Yep.
Let's do a little expose 3 months after the show and let's see how good it's really going. Because you're right. I mean, again, we love research over here. Let's go with that 50%. There are probably so many more people negatively impacted that are either on the show, that watch the show, were interested in whatever. I don't think any of it is positive. Like, what is a positive take? I'm curious. If you guys have a positive takeaway, we want to hear about it. Like, either put it in the comments on YouTube or leave a review for this episode, because I'm genuinely curious, because I don't think there are any.
Maybe a positive could be
Speak
like,
louder.
oh, sorry.
Okay.
I'm a low talker. Maybe a positive could be like, oh, I don't want to live like that. I think
That's,
that's like
yeah.
the only thing. Like, I think that I can't remember where I heard this, but like some of the greatest like learnings you can have is by watching other people like make mistakes. So then you don't have to make that mistake, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and that's why it's important, you know, to have a coach because we've made all the mistakes.
Yes. Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean,
Literally.
I like how, so this, maybe this is indicative to our personalities, because am I like half glass empty, or I don't know, because you were able to be like instantly, well, a positive takeaway could be that they're not going to live their life like this, which I love that, because I hope there are people out there that would watch the show just like as we would watch it, entertainment purposes wise, and just thinking like, fuck, I would never do that. Like, I know I
Yeah.
want to lose weight, or I know I want to focus on my health, but I'm never going to do it in that way,
Yeah.
which I hope
I
there
mean,
are.
I mean, it probably gets harder to say that once you get towards the end of the show and they're like all skinny binny jumping on the thing, like I lost all
Yeah.
the weight, you know. Like you'd have
Yeah.
to have a little FOMO. Like I'm sure I would even have FOMO at like different parts of my journey where I was just like hitting rock bottom again for like the third time, you know.
Yeah.
But
You
you
mean
know,
like as a contestant,
well,
like
no, I
watching other people?
sure, or like a viewer watching it,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
getting kind of like FOMO, like they are like, you know, it looks like really hard. I wish I could do that. You know, you might be having feelings like that.
Yeah. No, that's so true, because imagine you're watching this show and in a way you're like, okay, I'm going to go on this journey with them.
Hmm.
Let me see how much I can do in, I don't know
Hmm.
how long the show runs for, but let's say 12 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever. I'm going to try and do my best, be strict, watch this every week. And you're watching people around you on the show constantly losing weight, losing weight, losing weight,
Hmm.
making progress, etc. And you're like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Like, I don't
Hmm.
have the discipline for it.
Hmm.
I'm not strict enough. I don't have what it takes. When in reality, it's such a warped perception, because I don't want you to have the discipline to do that. I
Yeah,
want you to realize that that shit's crazy and that's really intense. And if I have to do that,
it's not
then it's
worth it.
not worth it. Yeah. Like,
No.
it's crazy. It makes me like so just so happy that like what we actually do is allowing women to like
Live.
live and like take up the space that they deserve, and be like, I'm not gonna do shit just because like I'm seeing it on a show or on Instagram or TikTok. And like, that is probably the coolest part of the job for me, because they would be doing crazy shit if like they didn't land in our lap and like we were helping them. And like,
Yeah.
man, I get emotional about it.
I mean, I even have a client that had her gallbladder removed because of
Yep.
diet things she tried. Like when she
Yeah.
told me that, I was like, "What? Like
Yeah.
for real? Like
Yeah.
insane, insane,
It
insane,
sucks
insane."
too, because I feel like okay, I don't know if you saw this TikTok, but if you didn't, I tell you about it. There was like someone made a video and it was like, I bet in like 50 or 75 years, we're gonna look back and like view like bariatric, like weight loss surgery as barbaric. And
Mm.
people were having different thoughts about it. And I have never had bariatric weight loss surgery. However, I do know someone close to me that did have it, and
Mhm.
their quality of life significantly increased. They are healthier, they can do activities that they couldn't before. They no longer have type 2 diabetes, etc. But I also on TikTok, I mean, I've seen negative things or it can go wrong, etc. So
Mm.
I don't know, but I thought it was really, really interesting because right now I feel like with Ozempic and I
Mhm.
think what Lisa Marie Presley, the Priscilla and Elvis's daughter, I think she had like bariatric surgery and she wasn't really that big. And like I think that's like she and don't quote me, but I believe what I read was like there was complications later down the line and that's how she died because I like am
Um,
99% sure I was listening to a podcast I heard that but that just is like crazy like did you see that TikTok or do you have any thoughts behind that?
I didn't see that TikTok. That is
I'm gonna try and
scary.
find it and send it to you but it
Okay.
was yeah I mean I feel like when you interact with like too many videos on one topic and it's like it's your whole For You page.
Yeah.
I am like on like bariatric like water talk and I'm
Uh-huh.
just like I don't know how to get off of it. Like I don't like videos. I sit like don't show me more of these and I'm getting like all of this stuff. But I just thought it was an interesting take.
Yeah, that I mean, my mentor, my coaching mentor, she actually worked in the medical field with bariatric patients. So she's a registered dietitian and that's what she focused on for a long time. And she said one of the hardest things that she struggled with her patients because they were like she was in a hospital like seeing patients
Yeah.
um was the mental side. And a lot of times, unfortunately, of bariatric patients are just given a literal 500-calorie diet and just told to go on their way. And there's only so much she could do. Like she was like, I guess, a resident within the hospital. I'm not exactly sure. But a lot of patients get told really just like not good help. And then on
Yeah.
top of that, a lot of them have to also be seen by a psychiatrist. But do
Yeah.
they keep up with it? Probably not. But I can imagine the battle you have going on with you. I don't, depending on how big someone was when they get this surgery done, and then they, have a fear of going back to that. And then you're trying to like claw your way back to eating more food, but you've always seen success now eating less food and eating around 500 calories because you got this, operation done. And that's scary. I mean, I was
Yeah.
just like, I can't imagine.
I would imagine that's insanely intense because you're right. I mean, you do have to have, some sort of like psych evaluation because it's a major surgery. It's life
Mm-hmm.
changing.
Mm-hmm.
Which good that they do that, but what's the aftercare? What
I'd
is
have,
happening? Which
right.
I mean, maybe this is something I will just I like get hyper fixated on certain topics and I'm like,
Same.
I need to learn more. But I'm just like the one person that I know had a really great experience, but then either things that I've seen on TikTok or just thinking about it, it is very intense and like you're so restricted in a way for the rest of your life. Like I'll see videos
Mhm.
of like me and my husband went out to dinner and like we both have had bariatric surgery. This is what we order. And it's like taking 2 bites of a meal, which like
Oof.
I mean, I guess if you're so struggling to lose weight and you've tried everything and you're just having the hardest time, it might feel like the only solution. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to speak just like not, not being in that position, but I just thought it was so interesting because I'm sure if you like had two people debate it, like either side of the coin,
Yeah.
it would be compelling both ways.
I'm sure there are so many cases where it is life-saving, and I'm not
Yeah,
discounting that, right?
sure.
But I would have to agree, just like literally everything in the medical world in the United States, there needs to be better work for the
Yeah.
aftercare.
Yes.
I'd have to assume without knowing that we need better aftercare for like 99% of the surgeries that we do
For
here.
everything,
For
for
postpartum,
everything.
for a knee replacement, for like the amount of clients that I have they come to me and they're like, "Oh, I had this operation. I went to a PT twice, and that was about it." What?
Right, because like insurance won't cover like
Right.
what you need. It's like, oh, this is
Right.
what it covers. This is the bare minimum, so we're good.
You get to see the doctor for 30 seconds. Have a nice day.
Oh wow. Oh wow. I get to see the doctor? Wait, you're kidding me. It's like, what
Welcome
the
to
fuck?
United States.
It's crazy. But you know, you're so right. Like it's the aftercare of so many things, and
Yeah.
particularly with, you know, these huge surgeries, like the physiological effects, and then the mental effects. Like what, you know, like let's take a deeper look. But it's so sad. And like even when I was looking for different insurance policies, there were so many that did not cover the cost of like, and I know I'm very privileged. I'm very privileged, so I don't want to sound arrogant. But there are so many that just didn't cover mental health um uh things, treatments, etc.,
Psychiatrist.
therapy, psychiatrists. And like for me, that's in a way that's like way more important to me than my physical health. Like I'm like,
Mhm.
if I don't have that, I'm like, oh shit, like we are about to like be fucked. So it's just, it's so, is the truth. It's just so, it's so crazy to think about. Now I want to like go back under those videos and just like hear more people's perspective and on like the mental health aspect. 'Cause, oh,
Yeah.
man, it's
Well, how
crazy.
about I was listening to The Good Guys, and that is Josh Peck and
Yes.
Claudia Ostre's husband. I'm forgetting his name.
Wait, I love that. It's like
What?
usually it'll be like, oh, this is John Walsh and his wife.
And his
But
wife.
you,
Yeah,
yeah,
right,
yeah, I
right.
love that.
Whatever his name is, I'm blanking on it right now. But they had Claudia on, and they came out and said that they both, the husband and Claudia, were on
Ben.
Ozempic. Ben, yes, were on Ozempic. And people were like whispering about it, I think, because they're very public, that they were on something because they both have been losing weight consistently.
And it
And
was obvious in the videos, like you could see um their transformations. Like you could tell they were either working on themselves privately or doing something. And I think right now Ozempic is just such like a hot buzzword that people like, even if you're not on Ozempic, but you're losing weight and you have an influence, people are like, Ozempic,
right,
Ozempic.
right. But what he said was actually like, I was like, interesting take. Like I don't same thing with like bariatric surgery. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, that's a bad idea. You know, I don't know what's going on in your brain. I really
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
But for them, he said like, um, he's like, I don't know. I think he says something along the lines of like, you don't know what it feels like to A, struggle with weight your whole entire life, and then B, have those thoughts about food like kind of go away. And I was like,
Yeah.
very, very interesting. Like he was like constant racing thoughts about food and being overweight and this and that.
Yeah.
And they kind of just went away. And it was like that feeling, and that's how he's been losing weight. And I'm like, that's really interesting. And I feel like that was probably like a really positive thing for him.
Yeah.
However, like, of course, like he talks about he hates lifting weights and exercising. Like, you gotta do that. Like, you gotta do that. We
You
gotta
got to
make
meet
sure.
yourself halfway.
Yeah, yeah. But I just thought it was interesting how like they made kind of a big deal about coming out and saying it. But yeah, they publicly said they were on it and it was working well for them and they love it and they're not struggling as much. Will it last forever? Like he made a joke. He's like, yeah, I'm doing good. Then I'll get off it and I'll have to get right back on it eventually. Like he was making a joke about it too.
Yeah.
Which obviously like kind of goes back to does this really work long term?
Right. And that's the issue, because I can understand and relate to being so hyper focused on my body and
Mhm,
what is
mhm.
on my plate, what is going into my body. Like in high school, my friends used to be like, you guys are like the birdhouse. Like there's no fucking food in the house. Like it's all like nuts and
Really?
seeds, like very, yeah. So I've always been very, I'm just very aware. And even, you know, we were at the fair and I'm eating like a fucking deep fried taco. And I'm like, this is kind of a lot. Like, I don't want to think about
Mhm,
the calories. And then I'm like, you know what? It does not matter. You can sit here and enjoy this and move on,
mhm,
and the
mhm,
world will keep going. And so when you are so hyper fixated, and I think it's really brave of him to even just say that, because
mhm.
I think people would be more understanding when you come from that perspective. It's like, I can't fucking stop thinking about food and I'm trying to lose weight. Like, I don't know what the fuck to do. Like, if you don't constantly think about food, to then be like, oh, that's all he thinks about, like, shit. Like, okay, I
Hmm.
kind of, I understand you better now.
Hmm. I
And
kind of
even,
liken it. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, no, 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 you go.
I was gonna say I kind of liken it to maybe like SSRIs or
Yep.
antidepressants, right? That's the same thing. I always
Yeah, yeah,
forget.
yeah. Yep, yep.
Imagine if someone has I don't know if I say this word. I've said it before, if it's gonna like block us on YouTube. But yeah, censoring a word, like suicidal. I don't know if we have
Code
to
it.
censor
Oh,
that.
oh. Um, I think in this context, because we're being educational, and that was and we trigger warninged it. I think it should be okay.
Did I trigger warn it?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, I just did. I just
Okay.
did.
Um, we're not doctors. Disclaimer, we're
Yeah.
not. We're just two girls that happen to be fitness coaches. But for some people, let's say they have racing thoughts or they have thoughts about this or anxiety, right? They
Yeah.
can say and they can feel like, oh, antidepressants, like, or whatever you're taking calms that down. Like,
Yeah.
I can imagine, I have never experienced that. I can imagine that probably feels really good. Like to have that, like your voice is like, imagine if someone like, I can almost imagine if you have what is it? Where you're like hearing things.
Schizophrenia and paranoia.
Schizophrenia, right? Imagine that. Like, and you have like medication for the first time, and then you like stop hearing freaking people like say things in your head. Like, I'm sure that probably feels amazing. So maybe it's obviously an extreme example, but that probably
Well,
felt really good.
I think it's a good parallel, because if you can't relate to the weight loss aspect, or constantly trying to lose weight and thinking about food, you might be able to relate to the mental illness side of it. And I've been on Lexapro, which is an SSRI, for like since 2019. And I also take something for like, that's for my panic disorder, but I also take something that is it's more of a, I call it my emergency medication. But in those moments, like, I just wrote a post about this, and by the time you guys are hearing this, the post will be ways down. But I had 4 or 3 panic attacks in 4 weeks, and the feeling of you being able to utilize a medication to be able
Mm-hmm.
to shut that down,
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine, or I can relate in a way to him, because when you start to, in a sense, lose control of the thoughts that are coming in, whether it's about your food and you're like, that's all I can think about, or it's, you're having a panic attack or an anxiety attack, or you're dealing with depression, all of these sorts of things. When you can find that thing that kind of like, you can hit the stop button and be like, okay, now
Mm-hmm.
that I feel at baseline and I feel normal, and I'm not always thinking about these things, or I'm not always thinking about food, I'm not always thinking about fat loss, what can I actually do? Like, I can actually
Mm-hmm.
start to do really, really amazing things, like in Ben's, and I like, I haven't watched that, but I saw it on TikTok. Like, maybe now, I know he said he doesn't like exercise, doesn't want to weight lift, but maybe now, because he's not constantly thinking about food, he can give it a try. And he can be like, all right, maybe, you know what, maybe weightlifting isn't for me, but let me at least try moving my body in some way. Like, if you can get yourself to a point where it's like, okay, I can start because I'm doing this thing and it's helping me. Maybe now I can finally start. And I know there
Mm-hmm.
are, people that all the time they're like, oh, you shouldn't, antidepressants are like big pharma and you don't shouldn't take it and just try microdosing. And I'm like, now, as I'm saying this, I can understand deeper why somebody might take Ozempic for fat loss,
Mm-hmm.
because I take something that fucking helps me every single day, and
Mm-hmm.
that keeps me in a place where I'm at a baseline. So now I can understand deeper and with a sense of empathy as to like why someone might be taking it. Do I necessarily have to agree that it's the best choice? No, but that's not my fucking business. Like, it's their life.
And it can really just be, like you said, a stepping stone, like
Yeah.
for someone who gets the surgery and then now they're able
Yeah.
to like walk, right? Can you imagine if you lift just
Yes.
enough to like get a few steps in where you couldn't
Right.
before? Or like them be able to have more energy to do other things and less thoughts about that, and they can put their brain power to something else.
Like it's
So
life changing.
right. It doesn't have to be the only thing they do, and I hope it's not the only thing
Right.
anyone does, but at least it can be a good stepping stone.
Yeah.
And it kind of reminds me, I saw a TikTok and it was like a girl like talking about like, she stopped worrying about her weight and what she looked like and started living. And then the comments were like, what do I think about then? And I was
Oh my God. Yeah. No,
like,
it's
now what?
yeah, like oh, so like you're not thinking about anything?
Yeah, literally. Like, what else do I think about? I was
What
like,
is
that
that
is like
like?
funny, but not funny because, like, I, I've talked about maybe not as much yet, or have, who knows at this point. Everything's a blur. Every
Everything's
episode,
like meshing together.
literally every episode is all in like it's all one. But whenever I was struggling with my body image and in high school when I was like 100 pounds and it was obviously not good, like that's literally all you think about. The next meal, eating too much, like putting all the food into my fitness pal, how am I gonna burn this off? Like those are the same thoughts I was having at like, 16. It's all consuming. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's all my brain was filled with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's in a sense, I think when we're younger, it's more normalized. Oh, you're young, you're going through puberty, all these changes, blah, blah,
Mhm.
blah. And then it's like you have these adults that are coming out. And I'm curious, did they say, like, did Claudia say anything about her experience, like how Ben shared, it kind of calmed his kind of thoughts around food? Like, did she have any sort of similar experience or?
She didn't put it as eloquently as Ben did because
Yeah.
she's like more crass, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
she's hilarious. Like I love her. So I don't think hers didn't really stick with me. I think his was
Okay.
like actually more meaningful. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that makes sense. I think she was more along as like, I'll do whatever I want, which is totally fine.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. I
you
feel
can
like
do whatever
her
you want.
vibe is like,
Yes.
I'm just
Like
gonna
fuck
like do
off.
whatever the fuck I want. And like if you don't care, like blah blah blah. And I'm like, love
Literally the same
that energy.
vibe.
Like
Yeah.
live your life.
You're allowed to be like that.
Yeah. And I think that, with everything that we're talking about today, like Biggest Loser, Ozempic, just different things that you're making the decisions on. I don't think anything is inherently bad, or I don't think most things are inherently bad. But it's like, okay, if we're going on Ozempic, let's also try and learn about nutrition. And like, if you have the means, maybe work with somebody, or at the very least, try and educate yourself. Go online. There are so many resources that you can try and find, but it's a lot of time, oh, I'm losing the weight, whatever. And it's like we stop there. But that can't be the only thing. Like same like with myself. I can't just be taking medication. That is not working through the panic disorder. Like that, it's never going to go away, but I got to fucking flex my muscles in therapy, or else the medication is like not going to help as well. I was literally just talking to my psychiatrist this morning and she was like, oh, yeah, you got used to this medication. We need to switch to something. We're having like a 45-minute conversation about what we're doing next. And she's like, well, you know what? We're going to make sure like you took a little break from therapy, which, you know what, Allie, we shouldn't do that. But like, we're going to keep flexing this over here. We're going to keep doing this. And we can make medication changes, but we're also needing to do the foundational shit. With fat loss, same thing. Maybe you take Ozempic, maybe you do an extreme diet, but what's the foundation? What can we come back to long term that's gonna help you? Because at the end of the day, like we're coaches that like give a shit. I give a shit about random strangers' fucking lives. I'm like, please don't do that diet. Like I don't want that for you. Like I know where you're gonna be in 6 months and it makes me fucking sad.
Yeah. And again, there's really only so much we can do, and we don't always know the context and what someone's going through. But this episode wasn't to bash anyone for
Yeah,
making
no.
their decisions because, like I just said, we don't know the context. But if anything, I hope it encourages you to, if you do go down that route, you look at all the, I don't know what the right simile metaphor is. You
Maybe
look at
like
everything.
options. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
all
just
the options.
staying curious.
Yeah, all the options and the consequences of doing these
Yeah.
things, and what can you do to help you, slowly, if it's not a surgery, obviously, but slowly transition to something that's maybe a little bit more sustainable.
Yeah, because like at the end of the day, like Maddie said, like one, these are our opinions. Two, you can tell us to fuck off and like totally warranted. Um, and three, like we we want you to do whatever feels good for your body, right? Like that is your choice. We just want to shed light on things that we've seen or things that we know because we dive deeper. And like when we work with women, we don't come from a place of judgment. We come from a place of understanding because we've been there. A lot of the things that your clients, my clients say to me, I'm like, retweet, been fucking there. And so we
Yep.
can come from a place of understanding and really helping them live their best life. Even, sometimes my clients make decisions that I'm like, I probably wouldn't do that, but it's also not my life. So like I'm going to support you,
Hmm.
but I don't have to agree with every single thing that you want to do because again, we're all adults, right? Like I think sometimes like going back to like The Biggest Loser with a coach like Jillian Michaels, you think, "Oh God, are all coaches going to tell me what the fuck to do every single second of the day?" And it's like,
Right.
no, this is an experience about like teaching and learning and coming into a space where you feel really empowered about the decisions that you're making.
And like we learned, was it last episode before that? I think it was whatever episode it was. When you do the best thing for you, it is also
Yes.
the best thing for everyone else. So
Yeah. And you
that in
know what?
mind.
I said that to James the other day and my therapist. I was like, "Oh my God, Maddie was telling me this story and blah, 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 blah." And they were like, "Yeah, that's great." I was like, "Yeah, it's really great." And I
It
was like,
is. It
it's so
1000%
good.
is.
And like it's
Love
so
it.
simple, but like I think, maybe as women, we're not wired to fucking think that way.
No.
Men would probably be like, "Yeah, yeah." But I also talked to two men about it and they were just like, "That's really good. Like that's really amazing." And I don't know, maybe they're just supportive kings, but I just was like, damn, like now when I'm thinking about things, I'm like, okay, what's the best for Allie? And
Good.
then how is it going to benefit everybody else? I was like, oh, Maddie, she is
Changing
good.
lives.
She
Changing
is
lives.
good. So if you guys have
Uh,
missed that part, go back, listen again, listen to it 10 times because it genuinely helped me switch my perspective because I am a chronic people pleaser. So it was good.
yes, that's a good people pleaser episode to listen to.
Yes, yes. And I might even write it down on like a sticky note and put it in
Oh
like
yeah, put on
my
your mirror.
office. Yeah, or my mirror. I love it.
You know what would be really cute
What?
now that we're not kind of done talking about all that stuff?
Yeah.
If I got some kind of like writing where it was like a
Sign,
turns
the
on
neon.
sign.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The
Yes.
neon sign. Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
said kind of hot, kind of healthy.
Yeah.
That would be so cute.
So I would love to do that, but
Yeah.
my office, the house we live in, my office is like far away from the Wi-Fi. And I don't know what the fuck is in these walls because
Uh,
our house is from like the 1800s something. So like
mhm.
the Wi-Fi is legit trash. So I have to be by the Wi-Fi.
Oh yeah.
Otherwise, I would love like that's so dope. And it's like vibey.
I had a booster. I have a booster in my house, and it made all the difference.
Bitch, I have a booster.
Oh, never
It
mind.
literally, it's so sad because what the first episode we tried to record, I
Yeah.
started up there and you're like, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. And
Oh, I remember. So,
I was like, James, we're having issues. And he's like, I don't know what to do. And I was like, we need to get city planning down here. What is
oh God. Is there anything else you wanted to say before we close out?
I don't think so. I think, the next episode we're going to do is Halloween themed. And maybe we should put a poll on Instagram for
Mhm.
like what they want to see because I want to do like something fun, like a tier list of some sort where we kind of like rate like either our favorite movie or Halloween. It's just like a little fun segment. So
Mhm.
maybe we'll put that on our stories like maybe two, like what the week that we want to record, we'll do that. Um,
Yeah.
but otherwise, I don't think so. I hope you guys are enjoying this. We are now at episode 5, and it is just feeling more and more natural. And
Mhm.
I feel you guys are going to get that energy as well.
Yeah, we're natural queens. Haven't had our
Yes.
facelifts yet. Both haven't had Botox or lip filler yet. We don't have BBLs, no lipo. We are au naturel.
Au, au naturel queens.
All
As you
right.
can see, my roots.
Same. Just kidding. I never dyed. I've dyed my hair once and did nothing because I refused to bleach it. So
Amazing. Um, okay, end of show. Do you want to wrap that up?
yeah. Okay.
You have Maddie has her
Um,
blurb.
Thank you guys so much for listening and watching Kind of Hot, Kind of Healthy. Please make sure to subscribe, rate, and review us so we can reach more women just like you. You can find us on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere where you can stream podcasts. If you have a burning question about life, friendships, health, and want our 2 cents, email us at kindahotpod@gmail.com. That's kinda, KINDAHOTPOD@gmail.com. We'll love to include this hopefully by maybe episode 10, because we didn't start talking about this till episode 4.
Hmm.
So make sure to email us your burning questions so we can have that for the future. And
Yes,
that's it, guys.
and if you guys, we have a website that is in both the links in our bio, so you can get our Instagram below. And on the website, there is all the information where you can stream, and you can also click directly in email from there if that feels easier for you. So, next episode will be a Halloween episode, so get ready, you little spooky bitches.
All right, bye.